Well, hello again. It's Monsterforge here, and I know it's been a little while since we sculpted more on this little guy, but today's the day. We're going to continue on with this feller, or gal. I haven't decided yet. Maybe it doesn't matter. It's just a critter. Um, but anyway, just kind of toying around with some things in my mind about what to do to finish this little critter up. And I don't know if we'll get finished at this particular time, but we're going to give it a shot. So anyway, let's get started. I kind of want to, so you see the shape of this thing. It has kind of a rounded back. Kind of want to build this up and over. But I think if I start from right over the mouth and bring that back and kind of connect that and build that up, it'll look pretty good. I was thinking about a shape almost like a nose, but not quite. And it might turn into that. Like I said, it's all according to how it feels. So just gonna kind of roll out a little shape like this, like we were doing before. You know, like I said before, all of this stuff just kind of happens on its own. I don't really plan a lot of these things. You see, this is almost like a nose, and I'll straighten that out a little bit. Thinking about maybe putting the eyes far apart on the head. Don't know yet. We'll see. But I'm just building that shape around to the round part in the back, kind of pinching that off a little bit. And don't worry about the fingerprints on it right now. We'll take care of that with some of the alcohol. We'll smooth it out. Some clumps, and when you're adding to build the shape of the head, you want to kind of keep it symmetrical. It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, but you know, if you can just eye it pretty well, because you know this is a organic creature is what it's supposed to be, and things don't always develop symmetrically. So you get two balls that are closely the same. A little bit of this into this one, kind of even it up a little bit. And once again, I want to get a shape that's sort of like a little worm, and add it on this side, same way I did on that side. Just trying to build up that head a little bit. Just trying to get some interesting shapes going here. And hopefully it'll shape up in just a second. I'm gonna do the little tapered worm again to match up the other side. Oh, okay. There we go. And we'll just add that like we did the other one. And you start to see a kind of a face taking shape. It's not to say it's going to stay that way, but you know, I think in the future I might do a sculpting tutorial on a more planned design. Might be doing that pretty soon with one of them I'm working on at the moment. I just made some blanks. I posted the last video was about making a blank to sculpt on top of, and yeah, I've got those in the oven right now, curing, and I'm going to be working on some stuff for this coming Monday's drop. I always try to do a drop on Monday. It's Monsterforge Monday, and those are in my store. I don't know if I have a link in the descriptions before, but I'll definitely have a link now. Yeah, I have a shop on Etsy, and you know, if people want to pick up some of the stuff that I make, that's a good place to do it. Now you see, I'm using this big round metal ball to kind of push things evenly across the surface here. Trying to just kind of shape it down a little bit. That kind of rounded that head off a little bit more. Keep putting my hands in the wrong place. Sorry about that. But yeah. And now, you can use your fingers. Your fingers are one of the best tools you can use. Just kind of shape this little guy up. Sometimes it's important to just get a rough shape down first and then start adding the details to it. Yeah, I'm liking this so far. It would be a traditional critter, you tend to have the eyes right here. That's a little bit boring to me. He just looks sort of like a frog if I did that. But I think I'm going to, I don't know, I might get crazy with it. I might not just have 2 eyes. He might have more than that. He hasn't spoken to me yet. But he is speaking to me now about the shape of his head. And I really like that. Just getting a little bit more round. And I think what we'll do is we'll just do this little bit of skull. Yeah, still under the weather. I don't think I'm going to ever heal. I'm going to peel some of this back from the parts that I've already got cured on here. And one of the things that we were keeping in this, one of the design motifs really was this sort of saggy, baggy, flabby folds. And so, I think I'm going to keep that with the head too, is kind of have the back of the head be another fold here. Like this is the back of the neck, and then this will be the back of the head. And just kind of keep smoothing it as you go, blending it in. And that's where did I put it? That's where, I have some of my, I'll bring it down here where you can see it, the alcohol and the brush, and just sort of brush it out and smooth it up a little bit. I've decided to change the directions of my light, so hopefully you can see a little bit better. I was noticing in some of the videos, it seemed like everything was washed out, and I'm learning the whole video recording. My process is new to me. I'm used to just doing it, and so I'm just kind of, I'm not doing anything special, just kind of taking you guys through what I do on any given day. I'm gonna give it a little bit of texture to match the rest of the body, and so I'm using the rougher brush. It's a little bit more scraggly, and just kind of following this around. Just kind of keeping it, and the good thing about this is when you pull it across the surface, it makes it soft, and it allows these little striations, these little marks in the surface show up, and it gives it a little texture. And I like to vary it up so you get that sort of scratchy skin. Yeah. Let's see now. I'm not going to worry about his teeth right now. Haven't quite. Keep doing that. Not so worried about the teeth right now. That'll come along later. Just wanted to get that head shape in there. Thinking. Let's see. Just trying some different things to see what kind of texture we can build up. You can do all kind of things with shapes like this. This is interesting. And sometimes you just have to try things out. And, if it doesn't work, you can always go back and do it over again. You can always. That's the good thing about cooking it in stages, is that you can go back and just peel off what didn't work, or you can smooth it out either way. Let's see. Sorry about that. Let's see. I don't know how I feel about that yet. It might ultimately be something that I just blend in with that shape. I'm going to get a little bit of alcohol on my fingers and kind of blend that down a little bit, because it's a little bit too harsh for my taste right now. I'll end up looking more like a golf ball than anything else. But I think I kind of like it. A little bit blended down a little bit. Gives it an interesting look. Yeah. I don't hate it. Sorry. Yeah, kind of just softening that up a little bit. And then again, with the with the rougher brush, just kind of smoothing that a little bit more. Every little mark you make, when you're doing stuff like this, even these little divots that I put in with the big metal ball, when you when you smooth it out, it shows through underneath there. I mean, any little variation in the sculpt shows through. I really like that. It has sort of like I don't know, sort of feels sort of like a mollusk a little bit in a way. It's not, the divots are not dramatic enough to be distracting, but they're definitely there, and you feel it. It feels like he has a skin over a skeletal structure underneath there, like maybe his skull has lumps and all in it like that, and the skin's just kind of stretched across it. Which is really, when you're putting these striations in it like this with this brush, you're really just mimicking muscle tissue, really. If you ever look at muscles in arms and stuff like that, you can see the muscle fiber. I mean, particularly if somebody's got low body fat and, really well-developed muscles, you can see the muscle fiber really well. Yeah. I think that'll work. I think what I'm going to do is add a couple of lumps where some eyes might go. Once again, you try to keep them close to the same size. And I think I'm going to put eyes on the side of his head. I want them to be kind of like, kind of a little bit like chameleon's eyes, maybe. That thick lidded deal that chameleons have going on. Yeah, I kind of like that. I like that that shape, even if I decide not to make these eyes and just have like a little ridge that goes on the side of his head like this. Once again, it's just kind of the clay kind of talking to me. I mean, I know the clay's not really talking to me, but it's just sort of the feeling. It's like whenever you get a clump of clay in your hand, your mind starts figuring things to do with it. It starts problem solving, like what do I do to make this work with this overall shape? And that's what I really mean by the clay talking. It's your brain telling you what to do with it, and you have to kind of follow your artistic voice. Because each person, sorry, each person's going to bring their own set of skills and experiences to play when they're doing this. And so, never be afraid of what your voice tells you to do whenever you're creating. Because creativity really is just, it's letting that voice that's inside of you out. Let's see, I might continue this little ridge back through here. What a stupid song. Anyway, just you find little neat shapes and stuff like that whenever you're building things. And, sometimes you might want to go with it. Sometimes you'll do it and it's like, I don't really like that. But you won't know whether you like it or not until you try it. And the cool thing about working with clay like this is it's very forgiving. It's daunting at first whenever you look at clay and it's like, oh gosh, I'm going to mess that up. With this stuff, you really can't mess up because you can always just squish it and start over. Or, like I said, doing it in stages, you can yank this off and, go from there. Let's see. I'm going to try something. There's different way to do eyes. Sometimes I use like the BBs to put little eyes in, and sometimes you just sculpt them. I did that. Trying to remember the last thing where I sculpted eyes. I don't know. My mind just blanked on that, but I remember now. It's the figure that I dropped the other day. I was working on one for hours and hours and hours, and when I was walking from one firing back to firing, I'm cooking in the oven. When I was walking back from the oven to the desk one time, it slipped out of my hands, and basically like a rabid baboon, I frantically tried to grab it before it hit the ground, and it probably wouldn't have hurt it all that bad if it had just fallen. It probably just cracked it a little bit, which is something you can fix. But like a spastic chimpanzee, I just hit it midair and slung it across the room, and the thing just shattered. But anyway, it had sort of bulbous frog eyes, and the way I built those was just, basically like this. I added a clump on. I can show you right here. I just, molded a little ball for the eye and sort of shaped it the way I wanted it to be shaped, which is sort of a football type shape. And then used the nut pick tool that I use so much and smoothed it down onto the surface that was already cured, and just kind of shaped it a little bit and used some alcohol to smooth it and all, and kind of went back in and kind of worked out the little area, the socket that the eyeball was supposed to be in, just kind of suggesting that, and some little wrinkles around the eye. And just like that, I built an eye, had kind of a big old frog mouth, and repeated the same thing, on the other side. So there's many ways to do it. Now, I want to give this little guy kind of shifty looking little eyes. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the nut pick and I'm basically pressing it into the side of this mound, but only on one side, and so I'm leaving a surface that's a little bit shallower. And I'm gonna continue that over here and do the same thing and just press the tip in, and you have a shallower surface right here. And so I don't know if you can see it or not, but he has sort of a little slit for an eye, and you can you can kind of smooth that out a little bit, keeping it recessed, as much as you like, whatever you see fit. And you can shape it up all kind of different ways. I might want to take the little tiny ball tool and kind of smooth it out in there. Yeah, that'll work. and accentuate it in the sculpt around it. Give him some little wrinkles around there to suggest that the eyelid maybe move. It may move. The little wrinkles like that will show where skin stretches over a surface. And I'll go back over this with the alcohol and a brush, kind of smooth that out a little bit. But yeah, see, he's got sort of a little eye there. And later on, whenever we paint this, we'll accentuate that with the paint as well. And just do the same thing on the other side. Kind of lift that up a little bit because it got pushed down with my finger. Same thing on this side. Just push it down. Keep the flatter edge closer to the surface. So sorry. This sinus thing is driving me nuts. And yeah, just kind of doing the same thing. Just kind of flatten it out a little bit. And what it does is it gives a suggestion that there's an eyeball inside of there, in this little pocket, this little socket that's in there. And, it's giving him little wrinkles around here to show that the eye, the eyelid kind of stretches and opens. And you can carry it through like there's a little tear duct here if you want to. That would go right into the corners of the, oh yeah, I like that. Right into the corners of the mouth almost. Just kind of push that up a little bit. I don't want it to be such a gap. And you'll find different things that work for different people. And like looking at it straight on, it looks fairly symmetrical, but I see here it's a little bit higher. The ridge over the eye is a little bit higher, so anytime you want to even anything out, just take a little strip, add it on, and smooth it out. And that's one reason why I like this nut pick so much, is because just about every part of this is a different tool, and you can smooth it out that way. I think that works pretty well. Take that little ball and kind of push it, give it a little bit of shape there, smooth it out a little bit, and now look at it, see if it works. I rather like it at this point. Take a little bit of alcohol and just smooth it out. Any of the places where your fingers might have touched and left fingerprints when you were goofing around with it, kind of smooth those out. You smooth out some of those rough edges where you sculpted it. Keep blending it with your nut pick. It's all about keeping it nice and smooth unless you want it to be craggy or scratchy. Speaking of scratchy, I'm going to have to cut it short in a second because my the longer I talk, the worse my voice is getting. I really hate that because I would like to share more, but it just, as it is, it's at 23 minutes on the video, so I think we've had a good little session. And I'm going to fire this guy like this, and we'll continue from here next time. I hope you guys are following along. I hope you guys are creating your own things. If you want to follow this design, you can. I'm all for people learning by copying sometimes. Just have fun with it, Have fun letting your creative voice out. Anyway, my throat's killing me. So anyway, we'll stop here and we'll come back at it next time. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more cleared up. And there we go. So, sculpting a critter. This is part 4 now. See you next time, guys. Monsterforge out.